Ooh, wow. This is intense. There is so much traffic, and this is, wow, this is an ugly scene out here in the rain. Everybody's lights glaring off the water. People running out into things. Everybody at their point where they're trying to get home. So you know I'm all about those cheeseburgers. I'm in no hurry. Might even take a little longer way just to do it. So I actually really was thinking about that shouting match between Cenk Uygur and that professor. And I'm actually for real, like, there's, if this guy had done all this stuff to develop so much strategy that, he really believed in what he was doing. I want to just take him on that, to paraphrase G.K. Chesterton, the man certainly believes in himself. So I was thinking about this for a moment, like how most of these people are going to point to somebody like Nick Fuentes as like, oh, you mean nationalists like Nick Fuentes, infamous white nationalist, and he's not even white. Oh, and he says all these things. Let's roll that white bean footage. To paraphrase Tommy Sotomayor. And so Tommy Sotomayor, who's ever going to talk to him? Is this professor ever going to talk to him? What the fuck is happening out here? This is insane. This is a lot of traffic. Like, I'm very, very, very surprised at this amount of traffic right now. This is wild. But, who's going to talk to Tommy Sotomayor and get his take on all of this kind of stuff? Tommy Sotomayor, what do you think about, because Tommy Sotomayor could have told you Trump is way more popular than a lot of people are giving him credit for. Who's going to talk to Sargon of Akkad? Carl Benjamin. Carl Benjamin has been so on point about political change with Brexit and all that business that, the guy actually ended up creating a publishing house for nationalist, conservative, and right-of-center and monarchist writers. While everything is, falling down in media. Everybody's falling on their faces. But Carl Benjamin made this leap. And there's a lot of people like this. There's quite a number of these characters right of center who've actually really gone out of their way to start their venture. They're like, well, there's no time but the present, because there isn't, So what they've done is going to go down in history as a pretty amazing thing, like the quartering and his slow turn more and more rightward, where he's one of those people who actually this professor should have been aware of. Somebody should have made him aware. One of his staff members should have been like, this dude who I watch all the time, who is, he's just kind of, he's just a very moderate Midwestern dude. And over this period of time, his views have turned significantly more to the right. Well, the professor should have known about a trend like that. That more and more and more people, especially these people that their entertainment qualities are really based around how affable and relatable they are. So really, how normal they come across to whoever is watching them. So people who are really kind of out there, right? Like somebody like, say, Hassan. Well, there's only so many people who are really going to ever relate to a guy like him, really. But there's not really like, I mean, like somebody like Jeremy from The Quartering, he's extremely normal to a lot of people. Like, he comes across as a very normal guy to a lot of people. And even jokes about it a little, that he's got normie takes and stuff, you know, or that he just doesn't get, you know, these things that, you know, people are into, that he's like, that's just really weird to me, you know. And you know, and it's just who he is, and people watch him who often disagree with him, you know, like, because they do like his takes, like. And then there's even the issue of the thing of the strange thing of Americans watching stuff that they disagree with. This is like a real phenomenon, like, that you find on YouTube and such, that there's these people that, you know, well, I don't really agree with the guy on a lot, but, you know, he's really funny. And that you're sitting there and you're like, wait, what? You know, I thought you were hardcore about your politics, you know. You know, and that it really shows you. You're like, well, no, people are only so hardcore about their politics. As times change, and really as parties start to change the way that they approach things, which is why, like, right now, the Republicans kind of have everything to lose by not just kind of sticking to leaving the social causes to sort of keep citizen groups to just do that on their own, while really taking very seriously the idea of taking very seriously much more the idea of, like, well, the powers of the government are really limited by this issue, you know, by these constitutional issues, and everyone likes that the government has limited power. You know, that's a good thing, because everything else then has to be done really by the citizenry. They got to do the hard work of voting for it or making it happen, you know, through, and that propaganda has been fantastic. Just look at, apparently all over China, the new thing is to do the Trump dance. Wow, this is a fucking mess. I mean, I'm really like, how am I getting across this street unless I go all the way up to the stoplight? Because this is like just such a shitty design, the way that this area is set up, that it's actually really, especially with the bike lanes, it's actually shockingly dangerous, because the far lane can't really see you. And yeah, and in the rain, this is like a really big deal. Like, and I mean, this is like a thing. Like, I mean, if you just round the block, like, you know, it's just the traffic's gone, you know, but apparently not tonight. Not tonight, people. Okay. Well, good. I get to take a little longer stroll with my umbrella. Me and my umbrella. Good. Okay. Just have some groceries. Got tucked under my arm. There we go. Nice and there we go. I've got the package. Precious cargo. Oh. Maybe we have our moment. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Anyway. So I'm actually thinking about this, like, well, okay, so how not internet savvy are we starting to discover that the Democrats generally are? I mean, I'm now very serious that the whole thing of the deplorables, haha, Pepe, and that it took that moment for Rachel Maddow to bring it up, and that it's like, this was like right before, you know, Hillary's about to lose the election. And it's like, who doesn't know about Pepe? But then it hits me, no, really, there's gotta apparently be a lot of people who don't know who Pepe the Frog is. You know, and so I started to really think about this, that even with like the Newsweek articles and these very soon Vanity Fair and all this stuff, that I'm like, no, this still has a lot to do with that a certain age group and older is extremely unfamiliar with a wide variety of internet memes and ideas, stuff that the kind of humor that's normal nowadays. There we go. Okay, that's better. And because if you know about humor, you know a lot about a culture. If you know what makes a culture laugh, and what a culture like kind of, you know the tune of culture dances too, it tells you a lot about them. And what they think is funny, it tells you a lot about them. And the fact that something like Poll didn't really come up in these guys' radar, a lot of YouTubers didn't come up in their radar, or that they thought that that was some kind of extremely limited sort of sample, like, oh, you know, such characters, they don't really matter, they're not serious politics, they're not hardcore politics. And the more I've had to think about this, and I'm just rolling it around in my mind, I remember a guy who, he actually called the first Trump election, and the reason was he said, well, it became quite clear by analyzing what people were saying on the internet and by actually doing what is pretty standard analysis of language, whether it's, you know, positive or negative or this, that, and the other. And I want to say this professor and a lot of you Democratic activists like Sisson, you guys were totally only believing your own press. And I'm saying this because not in like some super gloating, doing the dance or anything, that it's like, no, really, this was super weird. Like, it was really, really weird that you guys didn't seem to actually know much more outside of your circle. You weren't reading like what people were honestly saying. And then one of the biggest issues around this I want to touch on is how nobody understood like the import of something like Cat Williams. What did Cat Williams, what was he saying? Do you guys even know? Do you know what Tommy Sotomayor used to say? Do you know how important Kevin Samuels was? You might just want to dismiss Kevin Samuels, but I think if any of you, if you were to watch his stuff as internet posting people, you'd be like, he does his thing very well. Well, you know, what he does very well. So you would at least have to admit that. Rest in peace, Mr. Samuels. Or the popularity of Thomas Sowell. Like, that's one that the professor should have absolutely... I'm amazed that you had no students telling you that Thomas Sowell, you could find his quotes all over the place. Here's another one for the professor, specifically him, because this will mean nothing. Nothing at all to Cenk. This will mean nothing to Harry Sisson. This will mean nothing to any of the others. Only the professor will get this one because he's an academic, and the academics hid this very important book from True Believer, Thoughts on the Nature of Mass Movements. Yes, I'm paraphrasing Eric Hoffer. You will actually, are citing Eric Hoffer. You'll find quotes from that book all over YouTube. Now, at one time, I was one of the only people who came up because I kept reading parts of the book on my channel. But after a while, many people started doing it. It was years later, I finally tried to look up his name again and found a bunch of people were quoting from his work. That should tell you a lot about what people were understanding, because they were looking into the nature of mass movements from an American point of view. And I think you still won't get it. Even though you lost, you still won't get what people concluded by doing what they're supposed to do, comparing the evidence. They're like, the mass movement is the Democratic left, Democratic movement, the Democratic Party movement. That was the mass movement. And it went through its natural stages into violence. And people like you desperately need January 6th to pan out, who haven't been paying attention to what's going on in Congress right now over January 6th, or even people who are on the panel itself, the select committee, are like, I never saw this piece of evidence. I never saw this video. I never even saw this. They didn't even show this to us. A lot of you are going to start really having a sinking feeling as you realize what the Democratic Party got up to. So it'll be kind of neat to see. But being that this was your field and that you had to have trained your staff in this kind of research, I would be a bit either alarmed or a little angry that nobody put you on to a lot of this stuff. That it takes fried chicken, man. Oh, gotta fold my umbrella. Talk to you guys later.